All right, let's look at the homework 2.6, problem number 3. All right, so first, let's try to kind of plug in, right? So as x approaches negative infinity, so you have the leading term here inside the square root is x squared. So x is going to positive infinity, right? Because it gets squared. So instead of negative infinity, going to positive infinity. So this portion of it, oh, actually that's not what I wanted to do, right? This portion of it right here is going to go to positive infinity, right? But since x is going to negative infinity, 8x is going to negative infinity. So when you have positive infinity minus negative infinity, then we cannot make a decision, so we have to do a little bit more work. All right, so here's a trick we've done before. I'm going to multiply and the bottom, top and bottom by the almost the same thing except for the sign. So you have a square root of 64x squared plus 9x minus 8x, and then we're going to have to do the same thing to the denominator so that we don't change the quantity of the limit here. All right, so you have that. All right, then if you multiply out, this is what you're going to get. So you have a limit as x approaches negative infinity, right? And the denominator is just going to be exactly the same. So square root of 64x squared plus 9x minus 8x, right? And then top, you see that we have a plus, maybe I should write that. So when you have a plus b times quantity a minus b, you will get a squared minus b squared. So I'm going to use that. So a in this case is this guy. When you square that, you're just going to get 64x squared plus 9x, right? Minus b is 8x squared, so you're going to have 64x squared, right? So we can cancel 64x squared here and a 64x squared, and we have that. Then we can use the same trick. We're going to multiply and divide, maybe I should say divide by. All right, so in this case, I'm going to divide top and bottom by x. So it's going to be 1 over x here, 1 over x here. Right. The reason why I decided to use x is that if you look at the highest term, right, here, ballpark estimate would be x squared with the square root is just like a x, and then you have an x there, so I decided to divide by x. All right. Once you've done that, actually, before we do that, right, so we have to be a little bit careful here. As x approaches negative infinity, so x is a negative value. So 1 over x is same thing as square root of 1 over x squared, but with the negative sign. Because this square kind of gets rid of negative sign, so we have to make sure that I put a negative sign so that the negative square root of 1 over x squared is equivalent to 1 over x when x is negative value, right? So if you simplify that, you're going to get, so you have a limit as x approaches negative infinity, right? On top, you have a 9x divided by x, you're going to get 9, which is really nice, right? So here, when you do distribute this guy to that, you have a negative sign in front, then you have a square root, right? So 64x squared divided by x squared would be 64, right? And a 9x divided by x squared would be 9 over x, right? And then minus, we have 8x divided by x is going to be 8, right? Now we know where these guys go. We know that as x approaches negative infinity, 9 over x is going to approach 0, so they're going to go away. So what you get is going to be, so you have a 9 on top, right? So you have negative square root of 64 is negative 8. You have a minus 8, so it's going to be negative 16. So negative 9 over 16, right? So let's type it in. We got negative 9 over 16, right? Let's check the answer. All right, I came back and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.